it's Tessa. It's the start of a new week, and this week's main focus is going to be working on some patterns I've been writing for way too long at this point. The first one is called the Witch's Layer Shawl. It's a knit shawl. It's kind of a triangular shape, but it's more of an obtuse angle, so the point at the bottom isn't nearly as long as how the sides are, because the sides are meant to drape over the front here, kind of like the Outlander shawl, if you've seen that at all, Claire's shawl and that. It pulls from the point in the back, pulls forward, and she can kind of wrap around her waist. I'm doing something similar to that. I've already made a variation of it once. Did not like how it came out. Actually, I think I know where it is. Alrighty, so I found it. This is the original draft of the Witch's Layer Shawl. It's rather long, and then once it's on, sorry, there's some trash on it, or little bits of stickers on it. Once it's on, it's supposed to be able to come forward and be able to be wrapped around your waist like this. You can't even see that, hold on. So it's supposed to be able to be wrapped around your waist like this, so you tie it, or at least just like pin it here, like you can put a belt and pin it. But essentially the problem with it is this edging here bevels the wrong direction, so it curves around versus cutting under. Instead of making a C shape as it comes forward, it essentially flips it around and goes the opposite direction. So I need to rework that, and I think I just need to make a better draft of it. Just in general, I don't like the way the increasing started to kind of create a weird point here. So it started to create kind of an odd point where it just suddenly points farther and deeper. When it just doesn't need to. I think there's just another way I could do it. Instead of using 2 strands of worsted weight yarn, I think I'll use 1 strand, smaller needles, so I can just keep the increasing the same. But yeah, so that's the first thing I'm working on. Also, the cardigan I'm wearing is, this is the Haven cardigan by Cactus and Lace Designs. I've slightly modified it, so I did a knit button band and knit cuffs. I don't like the way crochet ribbing looks. Plus I added, I think, 2 extra repeats in the body part of this. I also made a second version of this, or I've made this twice. This is the second one, and I'll show you the first one. But this is made from the color Bay Leaf in 24/7 cotton, not the DK one, the other one. You'll hear me repeatedly say how much I hate the DK version, but that's not the point. Let me show you the original version. So now I'm wearing the original version I made. This one has normal crochet cuffs as well as a crochet band. It doesn't have buttons this time, but yeah. I did exactly what the pattern said, except for I think the only difference is instead of doing the bobble stitch, I instead just did 2 double crochets together. And other than that, I think that was the only difference. Oh, and instead of doing treble crochet chain 1 in this row, I think I just did an extended double crochet. Essentially it turned out the same. The reason why that green one is so much larger is I wanted it way more oversized. Alright, and so the second pattern I'm going to be working on is something called the Cleary's Cardigan. I do run a D&D campaign where I am the DM. There's a character in it who's a necromancer. In her name she's known as is the Cleary. But I'm making a cardigan based off of some of the drawings and just images I have to as inspiration for her. So I'm making a cardigan based off of that, and I'm really excited for it. And then finally, the third project I'm kind of going to be working on / starting the pattern for is a pocket shawl or pocket scarf, whatever you want to call it. I know a couple years ago, I think it was like 2 summers ago, 2 winters ago or something like that, these were really popular. But I've been working on a pattern for it quite a while, I think probably like a year now, and I just keep on and off working on it. But that is this week's goal, or those are this week's goals. The pocket shawl or pocket scarf I am hopefully making so that it's applicable for the summertime here in California. It gets very hot here. It gets into the hundreds. I hate it. I hate being warm. I hate heat. I hate the sun. I hate it all. If it was my choice, it'd be cold forever. But the pocket shawl I'm going to be working on, I'm hoping I can convert to a summertime pattern, because personally I don't like wearing a lot of like tank tops or those types of shirts, just because I am more of a self-conscious person and I do have large chest area. So wearing things like tank tops isn't always the easiest, or crop tops, things like that. Like I'm wearing a crop top now, but it's only because I know this crop top will hold everything together. But yeah, so those are the 3 goals for this week. And then from there, I doubt we'll get all of it done or really any of it done. Hopefully by the end of next month or the following month, I'll be able to send out one of these patterns for testing, which will be really exciting as well. Awesome, I'll check in with you guys either again tonight or tomorrow. See ya. Hey guys, it's the night of the 21st of April currently. I believe in that last clip I mentioned that I was going to start working on some patterns that I'm making. And I think I showed you the first draft of the Witch's Lair shawl. I tried reworking it the same way, and I can't get the increase point and decrease point to sit correctly. Honestly, I think that's just an experience thing. I'm not as well versed in knitting as I am crocheting. But I decided to go with a more traditional triangle instead. I'm not too far into it currently. I'm only about 37 or 38 rows in, but I'm a bit of a slower knitter compared to a crocheting. You can't really see it. There you go. So we're taking that traditional triangle shape and working with it. You can see here, one of the types of stitches we're using is the star stitch. I first saw this used by, I believe it's Gotham Period Knits on TikTok and Instagram. And she showed this stitch in a video probably about a year ago at this point. And I've just kind of been obsessed with the stitch since then. I've done small projects with it and tested a bunch of versions of it. I thought about making a whole cardigan out of it, honestly. It's a lovely stitch. And then we have sections of just plain knitting rows. And then secondly, the next textural stitch we have is just your typical moss stitch. So it's the knit one, purl one, and then do the opposing on the next row. And the way I'm kind of doing it is 13 to 15 rows of just the base knitting, knit stitching. Or excuse me, it's called stockinette, I believe. Doing 13 to 15 rows of the stockinette, then doing one of the decorative or textural stitches. I think I'm just going to stick with these 2 types of stitches, the star stitch and then the moss stitch, and then just switching back and forth between them. I don't want this to be too extravagant, too over the top texturally. So part of me is wondering if I should just do the 13 to 15 rows of the knit part, just the flat knit, so stockinette, and then keep switching to the moss stitch on those 6-row repeat, and then maybe at the very end I do the star stitch again as like the final piecing. I think that would look nice because the star stitch is a little bit bulkier, so I'm wondering if it would be better to have that towards the bottom, because I think I can really spread it out when I'm blocking it and really emphasize the stitches nicely. So if you go like this, we stretch it out a little bit, emphasize it, it creates these like X patterns almost. And I think that might just make it look nicer than having this continuous repeat back and forth of we're doing knitting, and then we're doing the star, and then we're doing knitting, and then the moss, and so on and so forth, and just continuing to repeat it. But yeah, this will probably be mostly my weekend project, just because, again, knitting takes me probably twice as long as crocheting does. I crochet left-handed, as you've probably seen, but I knit in the traditional, I believe, English style. I don't believe I do, I get continental and English mixed up, but I believe continental is the one where you're essentially picking into the stitches and not really using like your hand to wrap the yarn around the needle. And I believe English is the one where you're wrapping the yarn around the needle and then you're continuing on. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. But it just takes me a bit longer since I technically knit right-handed. I originally learned how to knit left-handed, so instead of having the working needle in my right hand, I would have it in my left hand and I'd pull the stitches from there. I learned to knit when I was about 11. I might have even been younger than that. My grandma taught me. But I'd only done it a little bit with her, and then I stopped knitting and crocheting altogether because, one, I didn't know how to crochet yet, and two, I hate that this was a thing when I was a kid, but knitting was viewed as a grandma hobby or a, you know, weird girl hobby, like how we have horse girls now, and that's like a whole thing. I have a fear of horses, so I band with people that don't like horse girls. Just say that. Essentially, I stopped knitting immediately after that. I made a little beanie with her, and it was great. It was a great memory I have with her. But then I stopped knitting, and I picked up knitting or crocheting again in probably 2017. I picked up crocheting and knitting again, both of them, and then did them a little bit while I was in high school as a stress relief because I had a lot going on at the time. Maybe that's something I can go into with you guys, but I just had a lot going on in my home life at the time, and it was really good stress relief for me. Once things calmed down a bit in my household, I stopped doing both again, because at that point I just had other things I kind of had to deal with, unfortunately. And then when I moved out of my mom's house in 2019, either 2019 or 2020, whenever, like 2 months before COVID started, so I think February of 2020 that would be, I moved in with my boyfriend at the time, now husband, or we're engaged, but he's my husband. But when him and I moved in together, or when I moved into his place, I took up crocheting again because we're all locked indoors anyways. I might as well do something indoors. I played some video games, but mostly I spent a lot of my time crocheting. I still spend a lot of my time crocheting when I'm not doing my day job. But yeah, off that tangent now. I just don't have as much experience in knitting as I do crocheting. I can look at most crochet items and tell you how I would do it and how I think it's been constructed. Especially if I have a clear image of it, it's really easy for me to kind of figure it out after 1 or 2 test rounds. Knitting, I'm not nearly as well versed in. I know there's technically only 2 stitches, it's, you know, knitting and purling, but there's just techniques that I'm not very comfortable with yet. I recently learned how to do brioche knitting, which seemed terrifying, and then I realized it's just the fisherman rib done correctly. Like, that's all it was. It was just something simple like that. And typically that's what I need with knitting, is just the clear indication of it and how to do it, and then I can pick it up fairly well and keep the information retained well. But I'm just do knitting, or excuse me, I just do crocheting more often. The hexie cardigan that I was working on, the blush and blue mixed with the black yarn, I have an update on. I went to Michael's yesterday with my husband. I bought too much yarn, as I do. And I ended up buying 2 of the Red Heart black. They didn't have Super Savers there, but I bought 2 black of the Red Hearts. So I should have enough to complete the cardigan now and probably have some black left over in the end. So I'm going to kind of pick that up here and there throughout the week. Just because, again, I'm kind of nervous to start the bell sleeves and I'm scared they're not going to look right. But bell sleeves are also going to be on the cardigan for the Cleary's cardigan that I mentioned previously as well. And so I want to test the bell sleeves on the hexie cardigan first, and then from there I can kind of really pick and choose how I want to do the bell sleeves. But yeah, that's kind of all I have for tonight. It's currently almost 10 p.m. and I do have work in the morning. So I'm going to check out for the evening. I'm going to keep watching Vanderpump Villa, which I didn't watch Vanderpump Rules growing up. I wasn't old enough, / I don't really care about reality TV. But this show is slightly unhinged. I'm on episode 3 and I'm like having anxiety for these people. It's crazy. All right. Talk to you again tomorrow. Doodles. Hey guys, so I earlier today I went to a little craft meetup or crochet meetup with some people I'm in a Discord group with. I worked a little bit more on the Witch's Lair shawl. I didn't get too much more done because mostly I was chit-chatting and avoiding working, so I didn't get too much done, but let me show you how far we got. So I got through most of the next set of the stockinette stitch, or just the flat knitting, and I think I'm going to start the 6 rows of the moss stitch. I think I gotta do 2 more rows before I can start it, but I'm gonna do that next. I think I am gonna commit to doing that star stitch again on the final texture part of the shawl. I think it'll just look better there, and I'm probably gonna make a second draft of this as well, or maybe I only have that on the bottom on that draft, but I don't know yet. But I got through a couple of rows. I think I got through a total of like 12. Like I mentioned last night, I am a bit slower when it comes to knitting versus crocheting. But yeah, so that's how far we got with that one. And then I also started the Cleary's cardigan, which I hate. I'm currently trying to work on just making a swatch of the pattern itself, and it doesn't look bad, but it's just not what I envision for it. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. I haven't started the pocket shawl yet, just because I kind of wanted to get a handle, at least on just what the cardigan is going to look like Because if I can envision it here and write down kind of what it'll look like and figure out what it looks like, I can easily just pause on it and then start the shawl and figure out the mapping of that as well. That's how I like to make patterns personally. I like to essentially map it in my head first, kind of figure out how that would execute itself, and then try writing the actual pattern or making the item itself. But yeah, so my main project for tomorrow, since it's currently almost 9:30, is just kind of figuring out what I really want the cardigan to look like. Do I want it to be more of a summertime cardigan where there's more gapping, more spacing to allow airflow? Or do I want this to be more of like a heavy winter or just a California winter, which is really just 65 degrees? I just kind of have to figure it out. And I think that's gonna be my main plan for tomorrow, because we have the witch's layer shawl figured out and started. We just need to complete it and have a written pattern for it. And then possibly send that out to some testers. And then for the cardigan, we need to figure out the layout, figure out how the stitches work. Originally, I was going to do something completely different from this, and I tested it, and I just didn't like it. It was buckling. I don't want to have to be put in a position where I have to block an item, because I know not everybody likes to block or can block items, especially if they're acrylic, where that just isn't really an option unless you have a steamer, and even then, that's complicated. But yeah, so that's it for tonight. I'll check back in tomorrow. See ya. Hey guys, so today I think I finally figured out the stitching I want to use for the Cleary's cardigan. So essentially, there we go. Essentially, it's gonna be more of like a summertime cardigan, I think, because I can always make other versions later on. But I've tested how to do the increases for the bell sleeve. I've tested how to do certain increases and decreases. I think I figured it out. So now I'm just going to go into the stage of actually making it and seeing where we go from there. Alright, I'll check in again later. I haven't really worked on anything else today. I worked a pretty long day at my day job, and what I did at my day job today basically just destroyed any willingness to exist, which is cool. But yeah, so today's plan is just kind of actually get started on the Cleary's cardigan, kind of start doing it. Hopefully I can get through one panel. So the way I'm going to do it is a similar construction to this one that I showed earlier. And the way this one was constructed is you're doing the entire width, so what would be the front panels and the back panel together all at once, and then you separate for the sleeves. I think that's how I want to do it, because I don't like the way a lot of like side seams look, but I think that's my plan, and I'll check in again later tonight. See you soon. Hey guys, I'm checking in for the night. Today's Wednesday. I got off work a little bit earlier than usual, and then when my husband got off of work, we played Stardew Valley for like 4 hours or 3 hours, which was really fun. So I didn't get too much done on any of the patterns I'm working on right now, other than the Cleary's cardigan. Math is hard, is what I have found out from this already. It's a lot harder than I anticipated, and I wasn't good at math in school, so 0 for 2 there. But we were able to complete the ribbing portion and start a couple of the rows to start doing the body. I'm hoping to work on this a bunch after work tomorrow, but work, as it is lately, is going to be a little bit busy tomorrow. I'm not sure if we're going to play Stardew Valley tomorrow, just because we've played the last couple days in a row, but I really want to work on this, so if I have any free time at lunch or after work or between meetings and stuff, I'll probably work on it some then. I'm hoping to get at least where the back and front panels separate. I'm hoping to get to that point by Saturday. I shouldn't have too much work Friday, so I'm hoping that I can just do what I need to do, call it, and then work on the cardigan as much as I can. But yeah, so that's it for today. I was able to get through a couple rows. I'm probably gonna work on a little bit more tonight, so hopefully get through 1 or 2 more rows. But that's probably it for today. Talk to you again tomorrow. Hey guys, this is my first check-in and probably only check-in for today. It is Thursday, and I was wrong. I had a really busy day at work. I worked over 8 hours again. I should mention I do part-time work, but I work from home, so to some degree I can make my own hours. But with that, I've worked over 8 hours again today, which is just very frustrating, to be completely honest. But yeah, so today's update. I got a little bit farther on the Cleary's cardigan, which I'll show you. But first, I will show you this. Some people call them scrunchies. I'm just gonna call it a hair tie. Let me know what you think I should call it below. But I made a sunflower hair tie. The only thing I personally haven't really figured out is just that I have thicker hair. So I like to wrap my hair ties twice, but if I do that, it messes up the design. So I'll show you the only way I've managed to make it work. So I just loop it over my hair, and for the most part it actually holds like fairly well, or decently well. But I also, just in general, use the same hair ties whenever I can. It's just easier for me and preferred because I know they will hold all my hair up. But yeah, so moving on to the Cleary's cardigan. So I ended up having to restart last night after we chatted because I realized that the stretch on the like waistband, I didn't fully compensate it correctly, so I didn't like cross-check it right. I ended up taking out a bunch of the rows on it, and it works out way better now. I think I now have the waistband all the way up to where we separate the front and back panels. I think I have it all figured out now, so like the width sizing of the whole item. I think my next step is just going to be figuring out at what point do we separate for the front and back pieces, and go from there. But yeah, I just have to keep working it up to get there in the first place. I've probably done about 12 rows so far. But yeah, I actually really like this design because if you see like here, there's this stitch, and then surrounding it looks like it's a bunch of gap stitches, and I think it looks really nice and almost looks like a triangular or diamond pattern of sorts. But yeah, that's all I've been working on today, is just trying to get through the Cleary cardigan, kind of avoiding the witch's layer shawl just because I know it's gonna take me a lot longer and I really want to show you guys real progress. I might even resort to just making a couple things tomorrow before I head out for the night with you guys. But yeah, so that's where we're at tonight. I'm gonna try to check in again later. I just don't know if I will. Alrighty, see you soon. Hey guys, so I finished work today around 2-ish, and then we headed around to the grocery store, and I ended up forgetting to crochet it all for the most part, slash I feel like I've kind of been burning myself out on the Cleary cardigan and the witch's layer shawl. So instead, today I decided to work on some more plushies, and I'm gonna show you them now. The first one we made is this little no-sew frog. So the pattern for this guy is the Bria Crochets no-sew froggy. I think I've mentioned it previously. I don't really care for the leggy froggy pattern. I don't like the way the legs look or anything like that. Also, sorry if you hear a chair creaking in the background. My husband is sorting our magic cards currently, so all you can hear is little squeaks. I'll try to edit it out later if I can, but I doubt it. Anyway though, the leggy froggy pattern just isn't my favorite. I don't like the way the legs look. It's just personally not something I care for. So I made him. And then the next pattern we made is a little, fix the ears. The next pattern we made is this little cat. Also a no-sew pattern. But this guy is the pattern No-Sew Kitty by my_universe64. Because of the color I used, my husband says it looks more like a little guinea pig or something. I think it also has to do with the little smile I did. I spent way more time than I should have trying to get the smile right. But yeah, so there's that guy. And then finally, the pattern that almost made me cry. Not because the pattern was hard, but because I managed to not save the pattern or like it or anything, and then I accidentally closed my Chrome tab and thought I lost it, could never find it again. But then my sweet loving husband, who understands computers way more than I do, just went to my history and was able to pull it back up for me. So that was really fun and embarrassing. But the pattern is the No Sew Dragon Loaf by Lala Cloud Crochet. He's also just a no sew pattern. I kind of wish I made his eyes a bit bigger so I can make him look all dopey. But yeah. I will mention for this pattern, they note it in the like description of the pattern on Instagram, but in row 3 they incorrectly typed one of the nostrils. But again, they make that note as well. But yeah, so this guy was pretty easy to make for the most part. Again, the thing that just made it difficult was the fact that I thought I lost the pattern and couldn't find it. But yeah, so we made those 3 guys today. I'm probably done crocheting for the evening because I need to edit this video and get it ready for tomorrow. I also need to hang out with my dog for a little bit because he's been super itchy the last couple days to where he's now wearing his cone of shame. Bye-bye. But yeah, so he's been cone of shamed just because he's itching and biting himself too much. But that's it for this week. Feel free to come back next week and see if I keep going down the plushie rabbit hole or actually complete one of the other projects I'm working on. Talk to you later.